Let the viewer. My guest today is a BJJ black belt with Brazilian Top Team Canada. He is also a ringside physician for the New York State Athletic Commission. Charles Everly, Let's Talk Jiu-Jitsu.
All right, gentlemen.
Finally.
Hello.
Hey, it's happening.
Thanks for the invite. This is a swanky day. This is showbiz.
Yes, it is.
So for all the listeners, we haven't been on since April due to the fact that our studio was in my home's basement, which got flooded. So unfortunately, we couldn't do a podcast until I got reset up. But before that happened, Brian Vieira is launching his own podcast, my fancy co-host, called the Frontal Globe Podcast, which is going to be released shortly.
Yes.
And he's built his own little studio in the basement. So for now, we're doing the Let's Talk Jiu-Jitsu podcast in his basement. Thanks for having us.
No problem.
I appreciate it. On the poker table with wine, beer, and water.
Guess who's got what?
So, Charles, maybe tell us a little bit about how you got into jiu-jitsu and, how that all started.
Yeah, okay. It was probably about 12 years ago. I was living in Flagstaff, Arizona. And I was taking Hapkido. Right, exactly. I don't know. But the instructor was great. It was a combination of striking and groundwork. And as soon as we got to the groundwork, after the class, I talked to the instructor. I was like, what is this? And he said, yeah, it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I was hooked. But there was no place in Flagstaff that had Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There was an MMA class that they were doing, really informal, after the Hapkido class. So I started hanging around just watching, and then I'd go to some of those classes. And then finally, the first BJJ school in Flagstaff was a Gracie Barra school, and I joined up. Yeah.
So Hapkido?
Hapkido. I don't know if it's a. I hate to say that for the I know there's some Hapkido experts out there. I don't know anything about it. It was just I heard it was a really good class and just had some interest in martial arts.
How's it spelled?
Hapkido. Have you heard it?
Literally how you say
exactly
it.
How you say it.
Yes, I've definitely heard about it in the past. I have to say that I think in maybe the Montreal area, it's not very well known. There must be a school or two around, but I don't know too much about it.
Yeah, the instructor was very good.
And you said there's a standing game and there's a ground game?
Yeah, there's striking, but it's very practical. Like this guy, this guy was a police officer. In fact, he traveled the states and went to police departments and taught them self-defense techniques. Yeah, so really practical stuff, good stuff.
Cool.
And then from there, where did you move on to?
So I did Gracie Barra for, gosh, I don't know, 3-4 years, and then moved to Montreal. And when I arrived, I looked for Gracie Barra and saw that there was a big one downtown.
Sure.
But I was living in Beaconsfield. So I signed up and started going, and I was lucky if I could get there once a week. With traffic, driving down, going to class. Yeah, it was just a disaster. It was a great school. I mean, really, really nice guys. But then I saw Fred and Lee's class over at the what was that?
Beaconsfield Tennis Club.
Yeah, that's
the
it.
club.
Right, the club. Right, the club down. So started going there, and it was just, I could get there easily. So I had to back out of Gracie Barra, which was the owner. What's his name? Bruno Fernandez. Yeah, super nice guy. Couldn't care less. I mean, he was fine with it. He understood.
Yeah.
But I think there were some folks there that might have had some hard feelings. Just a couple of them.
What belt were you when you left?
I was a purple.
Mm-hmm.
I arrived as a purple, but I wasn't.
Oh, you arrived as a purple and then left. So that shouldn't be as bad.
No, but it comes back to that whole conversation of going from one school to the other, which we've spoken about in previous podcasts, which kind of spoke about my personal experience of going from Gracie Barra and spending a few years there and then moving over to Brazilian Top Team. And it doesn't really matter what school you start at and which one you finish in. If you could name any other school that you start in, I think you get the same type of reaction if you left. I think maybe not anymore. Maybe things have changed a little bit. I don't know. But I know, I'm about to say back in the day, but this wasn't many years ago for me when you did the switch. There was some tension when you left, and there are some people that stop talking to me or whatnot. So I guess you lived the same thing.
So I think I would have been completely unaware of it, except I went to the championships in Montreal, and I was I was wearing a BTT gi, and all these other guys were Gracie Baja, and yeah, most people were very gracious. It was just a couple of people that I don't think represented the school very well or themselves very well.
I think usually, from what I hear anyways, is that when you leave for reasons of whether it's traveling or scheduling, whatever, nobody gives you a hard time usually. I think when there's something that happens at the school,
Sure.
and then the person leaves,
Right.
then it's a little bit different. I think
Sure.
then there's some animosity, right, Ray?
I choose not to comment on this.
What a
topic.
controversy. I had none of that. I was just,
Yeah.
just couldn't get there, couldn't drive there.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I'm back at, you guys know I'm back at Gracie Baja in
In
Arizona.
Arizona, yeah.
Yeah, there's no VTT out there. It just, great school, great
Yeah.
guys. Yeah, a little different. BTT certainly brings, I think, something unique to the table in terms of BJJ. Something I think that I think I'm well suited for, with just more wrestling and being heavy and
Okay.
yeah, Gracie Baja.
Yeah,
I guess
definitely
I
have
feel
pressure game, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what he's known for.
Yeah, and it's not that the Gracie Baja, like some Gracie Baja guys, don't use that. It's just that I think it's berimbolo and stuff like that. And
Right.
yeah, I can't feel my toes when I try.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
So.
And you find guys are trying to get some information from you, like they're trying to maybe they see how much pressure you have
Oh, that's
in your
it.
style.
Yeah, so I think they notice that my heavy game, and I think they ask questions about it, and I've taught a few classes there, and the professor there will have me. I think he looks to me for some wrestling based moves.
Yeah. Well, you definitely helped my game for pressure also in the past. So I know that that's one of your things is that and that was where I was lacking.
Gravity.
You gave me a little pointer. Yeah. Well, it wasn't just gravity, but
Dude, do you want to hear a funny story actually? When I first joined BTT, so when I first joined BTT, I came to an open mat. And when I did the switch from Gracie Baja to BTT, and I came to an open mat, and it was literally just yourself, Charles, and Mark. And I was in your top half guard, and I ended up stepping back, and as I did a back step, you kind of squeeze your knees like you should to keep me in position, and I tore my MCL.
Oh.
You actually never heard this story.
No, really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I thought it was just my knee was hurt, it got swollen or whatnot, and then a day later I was like, yeah, it's not normal that my knee is 3 times the size than it's supposed to be, and and I was fresh Brazilian top team, I was 2 months in, and and then I didn't see you because you moved or something happened or what. Yeah, I think you moved at the time or whatnot. And but I never told you the story actually.
Somebody told me I hurt you, and I just moved.
Yeah, you just moved.
We got
I
out of
left
town.
town. Yeah, I don't want to mess with you.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna leave town.
So how are things at? So you said you're teaching a little bit. So you recently got your black belt
Yeah, I did last year.
last year,
Yeah.
and you find that it's a big shock, a big change, or you're just doing things like you normally do.
Oh, I think that the awareness of my incompetence just skyrocketed. Yeah. But I don't know. I guess I look at it. It's more of a personal challenge right now. I mean, there are expectations when you walk into a school, and people that other people have that don't know. I mean, people that are seasoned understand that there are all levels of black belts, and but when you arrive and there are lower belts, there's an expectation. That was your knee, wasn't that
so?
right?
Yeah.
Randy just straightened his knee out. Yeah, sorry about that.
So we've got 2 things going on currently on the mics. There's some scratching that Brian needs to fix, so I apologize for that in advance. And there's him opening up a can of Coke, which his mics are apparently that great that you could hear it from underneath the table.
That's right.
Totally interrupting
They're all
Charles.
hydrated. No, I just think that there's you walk into a school and there's an expectation, and you have a black belt around your waist, and having to stay calm about that. You walk into a school and you want to be able to sort of back up what's around your waist, But so yeah, I think I'm getting used to it. Yeah. I still tap all the time, even
So-
more.
So now, you're gonna be going back to Arizona now.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, in fact, I'm leaving in a couple of days.
Right.
Yeah.
And you'll be back there. You come here, what, you come like once a year, I guess? Back to
Oh,
Montreal?
oh God, no! I don't know. I come probably 7 times a year.
Oh, wow.
8 times a year, but it's been so busy when I arrive here that I always say I'm going to jiu-jitsu today, and
Right.
gotta make something at home or fix something at home.
So like, now, how's it gonna work for your stripes, your bands? So are you gonna get them from Fred? Are you gonna get them from your professor in Arizona? How does that work now? Like, so in 3 years, you'll be due for a stripe.
Yeah. So here's something really awkward, and I talked to Fred about it. So when I had left, pardon me, I had left for Arizona. Fred said, when are you coming back? Because we'd like to give you a black belt, which was a thrill.
Sure.
So I gave him a date. I said, look, I'll be back here. And he said, okay, well, that's when we're going to do our promotions. And just, I think, sort of dumb luck, when I arrived back in Arizona, my professor there said, we'd like to give you a black belt. And I was like, oh, shit. So how do I do this?
Yes, I got 2 of them.
Right. So it's strange
Black
for both
belts.
of them.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. I wore one as a headband and yeah. No, so I actually talked to Fred about it. I said, what do I do about this? I don't want to insult anybody. And I said, I feel like I'm getting my belt from BTT. This is where they've taken me, and I feel that that's appropriate. So I got my belt from BTT, and I told my other professor, I said, look, I think he wanted me to go through the ceremony of it, but he clearly understood that I had my black belts.
Right.
Yeah.
So he was cool with it.
He was very cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Just
good.
just nicest guy in the world.
What's his name?
His name is Paulo Fieri.
Paulo Fieri?
Yeah.
Heard
Super
that
nice
name
guy.
before.
Shout out to Paulo Fieri.
I've heard that name.
Yeah.
In relation to Guy Fieri?
No, I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
Do they have a lot of active competitors in your school?
They do. Yeah. They really. Pardon me. They really push it. So. I think there's probably 6 Gracie Bajas in the Phoenix area, and they have a big competition team. A lot of schools in Texas, a lot of schools in California. So
Oh, yeah, especially California, I'm sure.
so the team is usually placing in the top 3 of some of the big tournaments.
So you must have some good training partners then.
We do have some good training partners, yeah. And like I said, so we were talking before. They have an ambassadors program where they'll bring up Brazilian guys to the States, and they'll train for several months. They'll help out with the school and teach some classes. God, these guys they're just so talented. They're
I'm sure they eat
In-
sleep and breathe.
infinite
jiu-jitsu.
strength, endless endurance, and I was rolling with a blue belt who it's everything that I can do just to not get tapped out by this guy, just survive with this guy. He's I think his dad was a world champ, and he's probably doing jiu-jitsu since he was a little kid, but he's a blue belt. But he's 6'2" and 210 pounds. And,
Yeah.
right, so you just gotta shut the colors out of your mind and just roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are more and more schools that are doing that. They're bringing people from Brazil, these top level. They don't even need to be black belts, just top level jiu-jitsu people into their academies, keeping it for a few months and trying to get that knowledge shared within the academy as much as they can and just elevate everyone's game. I mean, we did that with Cascal, but unfortunately we couldn't get rid of him. Now we're stuck with him forever. I think he's probably going to be Canadian citizen soon. But yeah, you find that a lot.
It's a little different though, isn't it?
It's very different.
Like he's sponsored,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
legit, he's allowed to work.
No, for sure,
I don't know, these guys are doing some kind of a student visa or
Well, they're
Probably not a temporary.
yes,
Yeah.
it's a short time span, so it's months, and then they're heading back.
But it's a good opportunity for them. They get to
Yeah.
come here, they get to see the culture, train with different types of people, get the experience, and then they go back home and maybe they get their name out there and other schools hear about them and then tries to get them over here. And it's a great opportunity for people in Brazil, people that have been doing jiu-jitsu basically their whole life, and it's just a different level of jiu-jitsu. And a lot of these small towns in North America, I mean, they don't see jiu-jitsu guys at that level. You know, they probably will never see jiu-jitsu guys ever again at that level. So even getting these guys in for a few months just elevates everyone's game and brings everyone together. And I think it's a great idea. It's a good initiative.
Yeah, it's well organized.
Cool.
Yeah. So expect calls, Brian Vieira.
Oh, I hope so.
Spare calls. People are going to be calling, hey, I need Brian Vieira in my academy.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. Purple belt Brian Vieira.
Who doesn't?
So, tell us a little bit about who gave you which belt color. Like, where were you at the moment you got your blue belt? Where were you when you got your brown belt? Were you in Arizona? Were you here?
So in Flagstaff, where I started, I think in about 2.5 years, I was up to my purple belt. I was training a lot. I was training 6 times a week, and I took it pretty seriously. I think I had a wrestling background, and I think initially that gives you a big advantage.
Huge advantage,
Huge. So I was competing, and I think I had success there, and I think the officials told my coach, I don't want to see him back at another tournament as a white belt or as a blue belt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think I moved forward pretty quickly. So I went up to purple belt up in Flagstaff, and then came here, and that's when I came here, and Mark was a white belt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine Mark is like
That's funny.
So let me tell you a funny story about when I first met Mark.
Mark St. Marie, for everybody
Mark
who's listening, you've probably listened to the first ever podcast was with Mark, and I'm telling you, listeners love having him on the podcast, and people listening to him. He's a character.
He is a character. Mm-hmm. So my wife and I belong to the West Island Club. What's it called? Club West Island.
The Club West Island.
Club. So it's a workout place. So we'd go there and work out. And I think I had my Gracie Baja T-shirt on. I was just working out, and this guy came up and started talking to me. And I'm trying to do my workout. Like I don't talk. I'm not one of those guys. I don't go and do a set of benches and talk. Like I want to work hard, sweat, get up.
Yeah.
And this guy's talking to me, and like I'm not. He was very nice, but he wouldn't shut up. Like he wouldn't leave me alone.
No, that doesn't sound like
And
Mark at all.
I'm trying to give all these physical cues, like partially turning my body away and like looking at the other piece of equipment that I'm going to go to.
Yeah.
And Mark just kept following me and talking. And I'm like, God, this guy's a pain in the ass. So when I came to BTT after my short stint at the Montreal Gracie Baja, Mark was there in the white belt. And he was still just as talkative in class.
Oh, yeah.
He would interrupt Fred and interrupt Lee and talk about things. But he's one of the best guys I know. He's just
Mark is the reason why we started.
Sincere, serious about it, and like he's just fun to be with. He's just a character.
Yeah.
But I have a real love for Mark.
Yeah.
He's a good man.
He's but the salesman side of him is he sold jiu-jitsu to us, to me and Jonathan. That's why we started with Jonathan. Started with him.
So how do you know Mark?
Well, we got his name from. Actually, you might know my cousin Brian DeLima. Shout out to Brian DeLima. He's currently a brown belt downtown Gracie Baja.
Okay.
So he's a big, bald Portuguese guy. No? You don't know? Okay.
You're hilarious.
Why?
Because every time you bring up your cousin's name, you're like, for a guy who trains at Great Spots, like, oh, you must know my cousin. No one knows your
I know.
cousin.
But he trained.
No one knows who this guy is. I don't know who he is, and I was at Gracie Baja forever
Yeah, but
here in Montreal.
He didn't go to West Island.
No?
No, he was downtown.
Do you even have a cousin?
I'll show you pictures.
I don't believe you. I don't even have a cousin.
Anyway, why did I bring that up? Oh yeah, he's the one. He had started. He was a blue belt, and he told us about it. And he said, "Yeah, this place in West Island." He goes, "Oh yeah, there's Fred," and he goes, "Mark."
Yeah.
Like, all right. He goes, well, they got a guy, a killer named Lee.
Yeah. So it was Fred and Lee, right?
Yeah.
It was their school.
Yeah.
Initially, and I came home after rolling with Lee, and I told my wife, like, I don't know what I would do if this guy, like, I don't know, if we were at a bar and this guy decided to, come on to you or to was rude. Like, I don't know what I would do. I don't know how I would approach that guy.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a solution for this man. Yeah, he's just
Everybody has the same impression of Mark. Poor Mark.
No, not Mark. Lee.
Oh, Lee.
Yeah,
Oh,
no.
Well, Mark too, though. Mark and like if I didn't know Mark in a bar or whatever, I wouldn't want to fuck with Mark.
Well, no, of course, no.
He's
But
very
if
intimidating.
I,
Well, it's
like
not- it's not-
visually.
He's yeah,
If
but
you
that's
look at
that's about Mark. Mark's not intimidating, but if you know Mark,
Yeah.
you know, don't
Yeah.
fuck around. Like
Yeah.
somebody, Corrado used to joke around and say, "I'm sure there's a body with Mark's name on it somewhere in the province of there."
It's crazy though, because even I don't think people realize whether you're a black belt or any other belt in jiu-jitsu. I don't think you realize the impact that you have on other people unless someone speaks of it, right? And I think in the jiu-jitsu community, we're not the type of community that will just come up and be like, hey, I really appreciate everything that you do. You know, the reason why I stuck with jiu-jitsu was because of you, and I just want to let you know that you've really had a big impact on my life, and the fact that I am where I am is, very big because of you. We don't do that.
you don't
as a
find
community.
that happens, honestly.
Honestly,
Really?
I find that we don't tell each other this on a day-to-day. Like we'll say thank you. For example, with Mark, every class that he teaches me, I will always say thank you for class. Like I make sure, no matter where he is, if he's cleaning the mats or whatever, like I always thank, because I feel like he's always giving me some extra time that he doesn't need to be giving to me, but he does it anyways.
Yeah.
And I have to say that one of the reasons why I'm still where I am now, and I am where I am in jiu-jitsu, is a big part of it is because of Mark. I talk about Fred all the time. He's the owner and he's around a lot and he's affected my jiu-jitsu a lot, but someone who I've spent most of my day-to-day with in jiu-jitsu when I moved from Gracie Baja to Brazilian BTT, the Brazilian top team, was because the person who's had a big impact on me is him, and the reason why I've evolved so much is because of him, and he's given me the hardest time in the beginning more than anyone because I've never encountered that type of style because, like you said, he's had a big wrestling background and you don't see that very often.
Yeah.
And I'm throwing out to everyone, maybe we should spend more time thanking people for how much impact they have on our lives in jiu-jitsu, and just going up and be like, hey, thanks very much for classes this week. I hope you know how much I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I don't think we give that much back to our black belts. I think we should give a little
You know
bit
what
more.
Mark would say if you said that to him?
He'd probably call me an asshole or
He'd
something.
say, hold my hand and sing Kumbaya or something.
Yeah, definitely.
Make you feel bad about it.
Yeah, definitely.
No, look, I agree. I mean, I think anybody that is taken with jiu-jitsu, it just changes their life, and you always hear that. But I was when I was in Flagstaff, I was going through a divorce, and it's a small town, so divorce in a small town is magnified and makes it even more difficult. And my jiu-jitsu friends, and just the fact that I had jiu-jitsu and going to a place where you roll, but when you're done rolling, you can sit on the mat and talk for an hour with these guys. I honestly think that that's sort of our sort of male circle. People just hanging out, talking after practice. I think it is one of the healthiest environments for men just to talk to each other, because you have the physical aspect of it, right? Like every other sport in the world is a euphemism for fighting. Every sport.
Right.
And this is the most fundamental thing that you can do.
Yeah.
Whether you're striking or whether you're grappling, this is fundamental. And I just think it opens up a channel of communication that you're probably not even aware of.
I think especially jiu-jitsu, because it's one of the only martial arts or combat activities that you go 100% with your opponent.
Mm-hmm. And I've played a lot of sports, and I would say within the boys, I never had a relationship where I was able to talk so openly than with the guys that I do jiu-jitsu with. It hasn't been the same thing.
So let me tell you. So I was on when I was flying here. Usually don't talk to people on the plane, but there was a guy next to me. We started talking. An older gentleman. He was a teacher, and he I don't know what he taught, but he coached a lot as well. Coached a bunch of different sports. He was in a small town, and I asked him what his favorite sport to coach was, and he had done all of them. And he says there's something special about wrestling. He goes, it's a brotherhood. And this was completely unsolicited. I didn't tell him I was a wrestler or doing jiu-jitsu. He threw it out himself, and he's absolutely right. And I think it's because of what you were saying. It's just, it's really fundamental. You're going all out. and you're just sort of you're just I don't know. I think there's a sincerity to it.
Yeah, there's definitely sincerity to it, and I think jiu-jitsu even more so than wrestling. I don't know wrestling that well, so I might be talking out of my ass here, but
You shut your goddamn mouth.
I would say only because of the fact that in jiu-jitsu you're literally trying to kill the other guy, and the other guy taps and you release him.
Mhm.
So it's almost like you're trying to kill me, and I'm asking you to stop, and you're stopping, right? Where wrestling, you're not literally trying to kill the guy; you're trying to pin the guy, right?
Mhm.
Isn't that the
Yeah,
objective
and
wrestling?
yeah, and I think you're trying to impose, like you're trying to impose, you're trying to force things a little bit more. I think in wrestling, maybe now less so because I think wrestling has been affected by jiu-jitsu,
Okay.
no doubt.
Oh, really? Eh? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
absolutely. Much more acrobatic, I think, much more elegant.
Hmm.
There are people doing things now in wrestling that you did not see before.
Wow.
So, but I think it's more imposing your will on somebody, and it's rigorous, man. Like it is not like anything else.
I agree. I'm gonna let Brian look at his sheet. For the first time ever, Brian has come up with questions and has a pad of paper.
That's right.
And,
That's why the
uh,
quality of conversations is so much better.
So maybe to jump into, because I'm gonna interrupt Brian as he's looking at his paper. I'm like, that's it. I'm going in now.
That's okay.
This is my perfect time.
Better.
So
We're gonna do it
you
a
are
different
also a physician.
Yeah, an emergency physician.
So what is a emergency physician?
Right. Okay. So, if you had a medical emergency or you suffered a trauma back in 1960 or 65, or any time before that, and I think up to 1970 actually, and you went to the emergency room, who would be there? The emergency room was a place where none of the doctors wanted to work. And everybody sort of agreed that you would, sign up for a shift, and through the neurosurgeons and the pediatricians and the family practitioners and the anesthesiologists and the dermatologists and the rheumatologists and all these guys who know, a mile deep about a very narrow subject would be in the emergency room. It's just their time. So if you went in with trauma and there was a pediatrician staffing,
Dermatologist.
yeah, a dermatologist, right? So you're in trouble. Yeah, no, you were.
Yeah.
So out of the Vietnam War, they discovered that the mortality rates of injured soldiers was markedly decreased by having trained personnel on the spot, taking care of them, knowing how to do this. And so I think back in early 1970s, I think University of Cincinnati was the first emergency medicine residency. So it's been a specialty. When you have a specialty, it has to be approved by what's it called? The American Board of Medical Specialties or something like that. And so it was approved back in the early to mid 70s, and since then you go to medical school and you do your residency, and you can do neurosurgery or pediatrics or emergency medicine. So I did mine in emergency medicine. So we're supposed to be experts in diagnosing emergency medical conditions, managing trauma, and then once the patient's stabilized, we pass them off to
Gotcha.
the other guys.
Yeah,
That's our-
certainly.
that's
Tactically, that sounds way smarter to have that.
Yeah, but ERs were a dangerous place before.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And as of what year did that change?
Well, so it started back in 1973, but pardon me, they still most emergency departments in big cities now have board certified residency trained emergency physicians, but a lot of them still might not have that. If you're in a rural area, might be a family practitioner, and they're good physicians. It's just your training is in a specialty.
Yeah.
So most big ERs are staffed by board certified residency trained ER guys.
And what led you to the UFC?
So I think like my short moniker is the UFC doc. The long, really more boring, detailed issue is that I am a ringside physician for the New York State Athletic Commission. And so I got into that in about 2013 or 14. There was a guy that I worked with, a young guy who just finished his residency in emergency medicine a few years ago. This is in Plattsburgh, New York, where I used to work. he said, hey, can I was the director of the emergency department there, the medical director of the ER, and he said, hey, I'd like to take off 3 months because I'd like to go to the Himalayas and work at base camp there. They have a medical clinic.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
so here I am, 18 years into my career going, God damn, like, why didn't I think of that? Like, I'm just so stupid. So I thought, okay, well, so what am I interested in? And I saw that there was a conference for ringside physicians, beg your pardon, and so I went to it, met a couple of guys, the Lovelaces. They're Larry Lovelace and David Lovelace brothers. They're both docs. They're both out in Oklahoma. Super guys. Took me under their wing. Like, they were just so helpful. They had me doing Bellator fights on the Indian reservations out in Oklahoma
Oh wow.
with them. Yeah, and a couple of charity boxing matches in Oklahoma. So I started asking them about New York, and it was a good time. I think I was very lucky in terms of my timing. So there was a big controversy with the New York State Athletic Commission because one of the boxers had suffered a brain injury, and the investigation showed that it was a loosely run ship.
Okay.
I don't know any of the specifics, but there were some issues, and so they cleaned house. They didn't get rid of all the docs, but they cleaned house some of the head guys there. So they brought in some new guys. Yeah,
Is that to say that refs were involved in that conversation too?
not at all. No,
Not at
these
all.
are physicians. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
ringside physicians.
because when you say a boxer suffered some major brain trauma or
Sure.
something,
Does it fall on the ref?
yeah, it's a falling ref at one point. Like,
Yeah.
was it that kind of case where that specific fight, the ref let the guy, punch him a little bit more than he should have? Or,
No, because we always want the refs to stop the fight, but we have the capability of stopping a fight if a ref does not. But it is the preference that we'll speak with the ref in between rounds and say, hey, this I'm watching this guy close, like I'm worried about him.
Sure.
Yeah, so there's a lot of
So
communication.
you guys are looking too. You're looking at, I guess, in the fighter's eyes, and you're looking for signs, I guess, that maybe the ref
Yeah.
might not see. Or
Yeah. So yeah, there's a whole host of things that you look for in New York State. Well, let me back up. So because of that sort of cleaning house and rearranging the personnel, the lead personnel there, I signed up, and I sort of wrote this letter that I said, look, I'd really like to do this. I think I was a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu,
Yeah.
and now they're starting to cover MMA, and they never covered. It was not legal in New York, right, until
Correct.
2015. So the first big fight they have is the UFC Conor McGregor fight.
right.
So I might have done a couple of fights for the New York State Athletic Commission before that, but I was like one of the low guys on the totem pole. But I wrote an email and I said, look, I know BJJ, and I think I represent well. So I got the phone
McGregor
call
fight.
to do the Conor McGregor fight.
Absolutely, I remember.
Holy shit!
I remember watching it, seeing it
Oh,
on TV.
that was so cool.
That was awesome.
I have a couple of good stories about that. But anyway, so there are things that you watch for. In New York State, they're very vigilant. And one of the things they want to do to prevent any further disasters is we go in to assess the fighters in between each round. And that's boxing. We'll get up on the curtain and we'll be in the corner and we'll be looking at the fighter. And in the UFC, that doesn't happen in all states.
No,
Yeah. I mean, we do I beg your pardon, 1, 2, 3, 4 medical examinations on each fighter for each fight. So they'll come in, the big one is their first, after they weigh in. And then the next one is the day of the fight, because that initial evaluation is the day before. And then they fight, and then we do a post-fight evaluation. It's only 3, it's not 4. Okay,
there's
3.
no, I was going to say maybe there's a follow-up or something a few days later.
Yeah, no, 3. Sorry, not 4.
What about, I heard some talk about, I don't know if they were saying the person was inquiring whether they should do hydration, checking for hydration or not, or because that's a huge issue, right?
Yeah,
When they
it's a
dehydration.
giant issue.
Yeah.
So there are some physical signs that you watch for. So these guys in their first evaluation, that this is just after they're done weighing in, and they're really volume contracted. So their blood pressure's low, and their resting heart rate in the chair is 140.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that to some degree, and I've had to tell fighters, look, I can't clear you for the fight. You've got to rehydrate, come back in a half hour, and I'm going to recheck you. I think you're going to be fine, but you just got to get some fluids in you.
Wow.
So so it's wild.
So tell us those stories. You said you had
Yeah.
some good stories from the Connor fights.
Oh, the Conor McGregor. Okay, so it's not just me. There's a group of, I think there were probably 6 physicians that were marked for the UFC event, and there's typically about 12 to 14 fights. So we have our so we walk in the hotel, and the initial weigh-ins. This is after This is not the media event weigh-in.
Right.
This is just very quiet. There's no chattering or anything like that. So I walk in there, and I'm trying to put my identity as a huge fan aside, because you can't do that. You can't. You can't. Right.
Little fanboy.
Can I have your autograph? Right. So, but my wife was there. She's just curious. She wants to see all this stuff. So I'm there, and she starts sending me pictures, and she's arm in arm with Donald Cerrone and Joanna. I can't say her last name, but Joanna, right? And Tyron Woodley, and I'm like, God damn, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Right. So we're standing there, and we each have sort of our small curtained areas that we'll take our fighter in. So as they come up to the desk, and the athletic commission gives them their file, and it has all their MRI results and EKGs and blood tests and fight history. So it's pretty comprehensive. So I'm standing in front of mine, and the inspector, who has to stay with the fighter the entire time, walks up and says, "Here's Conor McGregor." So my heart's pounding, right? Okay, trying to be professional. So I go, "Mr. McGregor, nice to meet you. My name's Dr. Everly. Come on in." So I had to duck under a velvet rope. And as I duck under the velvet rope, my new suit, which was a little tight on me, my pants did not split, they exploded. There was an audible pop, and my pants blew out.
Holy shit.
Oh my God. Yeah, so I don't know if he heard it or not, but anyway, my
Was he in front of you?
no,
Or
he
behind you?
well, he was behind me, but as I turned sort of sideways to get under the velvet rope,
That's when it popped.
oh no, it just exploded. My pants exploded.
No.
Right. So I did.
So now you're gonna act all cool and shit.
Yeah, like just a dork. So we did that, and there were several other fighters. And my wife, I texted my wife to take a break from getting photos with all of my favorites, to go back to the hotel across the street and grab a second pair of pants. So she did that, and I was okay for the rest.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
So you do like a medical check on him based on his history?
Right. So again, New York State is really comprehensive. So you'll do a physical exam, and it kind of in emergency medicine, when you have somebody show up, you always do just a top to bottom physical exam. So it just fits in well with what we do. If you're a neurologist, most of the fight docs in New York are neurologists, because it was boxing, and you're just dealing with head injuries. Some are orthopedists, but for us, we just do the head to toe physical exam, and it's really just a natural thing. So you do a complete examination. You're looking for rashes, if they have a rash that could be an issue. Staph, yeah, or ringworm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
You're listening to their heart, listening for murmurs. Lungs are clear. Make sure their belly's okay. Make sure their knuckles are okay. Other hands can be pretty beat up.
How about their feet?
Yeah, feet. Yeah, feet too. Feet are they have a couple of curled toes, but usually the feet are okay. It's usually the knuckles. They just have these massive like number 2 and number 3 knuckles.
Oh,
just,
yeah.
just huge.
It's a striking surface, right?
Yeah. And then we do neurocognitive testing. So like the SCAT testing for concussion. So it's a 30-point test, and you have to ask them to do number sequences like backwards. So I'm going to give you a series of numbers, and you give them a series of 3 numbers, and then they have to repeat them to you backwards, and then 4 numbers, and then 5 numbers, and then 6 numbers.
I feel like we should do this test with Brian.
Yeah. Do you want
I
to?
won't get past the first one.
Do you want to?
You want to try
Yeah,
it?
let's do it.
Okay. All right. So,
I've had concussions.
okay. So I'm gonna. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you name the months of the year backwards from December to January?
Probably not.
Try.
Oh my god. December, November, October, September, August, July, June. Actually, it's easier than you can have fun.
Sure. Okay, so you can do that. Okay, so ready? So I'm going to say, I'm going to give you 5 words. Apple, elbow, carpet, baby, bubble. Apple, elbow, carpet, baby, bubble. Can you repeat them back to me?
Apple, elbow, carpet, baby, bubble.
Yep, again.
Apple, elbow, carpet, baby, elbow.
No, bubble.
Oh, what did I say?
You said elbow twice. So it's okay. Like that wouldn't,
Not clear
Yeah,
to fight.
not clear. No.
Seriously, that
That's a point. No, it's a point.
That's a
off.
point,
Yeah,
okay.
so you have to have 22 out of 30.
You know,
Wow.
when you started doing that, I was just thinking of a story I was going to tell you about my dad. So my dad had a slight stroke a few years back,
Mhm.
5-6 years now. I think 5 years. So now he had to go back for the driver's license, the SAC. Had to,
Sure.
they wanted to do a test and whatnot. So one of the tests they do is they say 3 words to you, and apple, carrot,
Right.
dog, whatever. And then they say, no, we're going to talk about some other stuff. So they just ask other questions, whatever, for a few minutes, and they go back, okay, do you remember any of the 3 words that I mentioned?
Right.
And the first time we did this test, my sister did it with him as a test to prepare him for.
Yes.
So she's the one who said the words and everything, and started talking with him. And she says, now, do you remember any of the 3 words that I mentioned? He says, what 3 words?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I want to, defend him here now. When he got to the doctors and he did it, he got it right away. So it's about him and it's about moments, I think. He has like good moments and bad moments.
Yeah, it's just embedding short-term memory. Yeah, I
Right.
mean, and in fact, my wife's mom, we're checking her out to see if she would be appropriate for a independent living, and they do that kind of testing, and
Okay.
they're doing short-term recollection.
So when you started doing it to me, I was trying to come up with an acronym.
So I think we could get
To
you into
Yeah?
one of the
Independent living?
independent
Great.
living. Free
Your wife would
free
be
breakfast
really
on
happy.
Tuesdays.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
So
can
the
I
30-point
try? Can I
test.
try some of that port?
Oh, yeah. You know what? You guys talk. I'm going to go get some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay?
No,
What do
I
you
thought.
got?
Oh, you okay? That's not port. That's just.
No,
No,
that's
this
wine.
is just
I'm going to
regular
bring you
wine.
glasses. I'm going to bring you guys some port.
Yeah.
We're all going to have port.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah,
I really
yeah.
want to stop. Okay,
And
so
we're
we'll
not
talk.
pouring.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
we'll
for,
talk.
for those that are a little confused, so when we got here, Brian was smoking a cigar in his garage, and then I needed to set up my
You were sipping
laptop.
wine.
I was sipping wine, but I was ready to get going.
Yeah.
But I saw the length of a cigar and knew that this was going to take some time, so I opened up the bottle of wine. So I started doing that, which was interesting. So then he tried to sell us on port. So he's going to get some port, and we're going to try some
Yeah,
port.
yeah. I've never tried it.
No, I'm not. Nope, I don't think I've ever tried port. I like brandy.
Uh-huh.
He said if I like brandy, I should like port. So
I didn't take you. I didn't take you as a wine guy, but I guess now I can see it. It just looks natural.
yeah, when it comes with beer, I have never been able to do beer. College, I didn't do beer. University, I didn't do beer. I don't know if it was the taste or I was very much into fitness, and everyone said beer means calories, and then I had like a picture of a beer belly in like the back end of my father. Wasn't very fit either growing up,
Yeah.
so I guess I was trying to avoid that whole scenario of having a beer belly, so I just avoided beer completely. It just kind of stuck with me. But
Where did you go to university?
I went to Concordia.
Okay.
I have a background in marketing, and I'm not necessarily using my marketing degree right now. I did. I worked for Bell Canada for a long time in telecommunications, and used my marketing degree there. But then kind of sways you in different directions, and I guess it helps me. It taught me a lot of different skill sets that I use now. But I'm not directly in marketing anymore. But I guess podcast is kind of marketing. You're
Yeah.
kind of marketing a subject and yourself.
Is that the John Molson? Okay. Yeah, my stepson graduated from there in I think it's finance. Great school. He loved it.
Yeah, great school.
You know how that came around, right? My wife tells me the story, so it's going to be sort of a very sort of it's not going to be very I don't know how I think it's accurate. In general, what happened was I think one of the Molson kids wanted to get into the business school at McGill, and he didn't get in. And so Molson, having resources available to him, said, okay, well, here's the alternative. And he started this really great business school in Concordia. This is what I hear. I can neither confirm nor
That's
deny the
interesting.
veracity of that story.
That's interesting.
My wife told it to me, so it's probably true.
It's changed so much, especially now you see like all the millennials out there and all the technology. You go back to school, and sometimes I'll go downtown Montreal, I'll take a look at the school, and everything's changed, everything's so modernized, and man, it's so different being a student now than it was when I was a student in the, I would say, early 90s or late 90s actually. But I really want support, and Brian's taking forever. And
I am really sorry. I thought that was it right there. It was just a reach over and pour in my
Yeah.
glass.
No, I should have brought it down.
if so, I've had a lot of pork because I'm almost done that bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta switch to port.
Yeah, I
If it's
find
an idea.
jiu-jitsu and wine melds together very well. I don't know.
Do you have
Okay.
any, do you have any brie?
Some walnuts and maple syrup on that.
You had chips. You said you had chips.
I
so,
do, but-
yeah.
Okay, we have a 10-year-old regular port, and we have a white port here. So, which one you guys want to try?
What's the difference between a
Yeah.
white port and that?
Well, it's the same difference it would be from a red wine to a white wine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're kind of like a concentrated wine.
Okay, and you said that
I recommend that.
port only comes from Portugal?
Porto only comes from Porto, Portugal.
No, wait a minute. Is Porto a brand of port wine?
Porto is a city in Portugal.
Okay.
That's where it was created, and that's where it's made.
Okay.
I think I only know of one port that's made somewhere else, but technically it doesn't qualify. It's like champagne. Champagne that comes from anywhere else other than Champagne, France. It's not real champagne. It's bubbly wine or whatever. So apparently it's kind of like the same for port. So in English it's called port. In Portuguese it's called Porto, right? Named after the city. So
Let's try some of this. Do you
it
drink
has
that?
a nice
is
little
it
amber color.
that much?
That's
Really?
it. What a
Yeah,
gem.
why? That
Yeah.
much?
I don't know.
You
I'm
want- How
expecting
much
like
would I
a
pay for
little-
that in a store?
Yeah.
Or like in a restaurant?
What's the price on that?
Oh, in a restaurant, I'm not really sure. I buy, I spend
It's a generous
like
pour,
this.
I
A
think.
10-year-old here is probably, I'm gonna say like $30, $40,
That's pretty good.
and a 20-year-old is like $80 or $60, $70, something like that.
So this drink's like $2. It's a toonie.
I guess. Yeah.
Alright.
But if you buy that in a restaurant, no, yeah, it's probably like the same price as a glass of wine, like between $7 and $10.
And is it something that you would drink before eating a meal or afterwards?
I really don't know.
No.
Was the sweet is usually before, and the hard stuff is after, or is it reversed? I really don't know.
I don't know.
But it's the same as any other sweet, like a Grand Marnier. Do people drink that? Is that an aperitif or is it a digestif? You know, I want to say digestif because no, the digestif is what you eat. What you would have afterwards, right?
Yes,
And
afterwards.
aperitif is what you would have before.
Yeah.
So I don't know which this one is, but it falls under the same category as Grand Marnier.
Are you not having any? Or?
Yes, I'm gonna try the white though because I haven't had the
Alright.
white. I forget what it tastes
Alright. So basically, he's giving us the shitty stuff.
No, no, no.
Yes. Yeah.
like. So this is
Yeah.
good.
We have a bowl of goldfish in front of us too. That's our cheese substitute.
Actually, during
I'll just pour the red one so we can.
during one podcast,
Cheers.
actually, remember the podcast we did with Charles, and I had some like sour candy. Like we don't buy candy at home, but for some odd reason we had some maybe for Halloween, and we still had some left over, and I put it on the table, and Professor Charles ended up downing all that with his
I
girlfriend.
ate quite a bit of it too.
Yeah.
Charles
Which was
McDonald,
really
right?
yeah, Charles
Yeah,
McDonald.
Style Jiu-Jitsu.
Charles is
Yeah.
a great guy.
Cheers.
Yeah, he's great.
Cheers.
Guys,
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Here's to
Here we go. Let's
Jiu-Jitsu.
give this a
Let's
try.
try
Here's
this.
the Portugal.
Port.
It's lovely. This is great with cigars. So
It is interesting.
With cigars, yes.
Yes.
I'm a cigar guy, right? And I'm not a hard liquor drinker. So some people can really appreciate a good cigar with a good single malt
Man,
whiskey.
this was cigar would be
Like
great.
this with cigar, fucking amazing. Because cigar has a lot of notes of wine, sweetness, chocolate, things like that. So they complement each other really well.
This tastes like what they marinated my chewing tobacco in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Applejack.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first leaf tobacco that I chewed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were you an avid chewer?
I was working in landscaping when I was younger. We had an apple orchard, and so I was always outside, and the guys always chewed leaf tobacco. And Applejack is the easy one to start because it's sweet. It tastes like this. But I had no idea the effect that nicotine had on you. So hot weather, cutting grass, I was passed out under a tree.
Really?
Oh yeah, in about an hour.
Why? What does it do? Does
Oh,
it get
It
you
nicotine?
dehydrates you.
No, the nicotine in it.
Okay.
Yeah,
It gets
nicotine.
you high?
Yeah, dizzy,
No way.
dizzy, nauseous, terrible. Yeah,
Huh.
it felt horrible.
It's funny, you know, even with cigars, they say the same thing about cigars. If you smoke, like I have some cigars that will take me 2 hours to smoke a cigar because it's so huge.
Mhm.
I'll be smoking a cigar, you don't inhale, but you're breathing, I mean, the air around you, right? So you know, and after a while, you kind of get like a head buzz a bit. It
Absolutely.
doesn't happen with everything, but sometimes on a long cigar, it happens too.
Yeah. Nicotine is one of the most addictive substances. It's I mean in the same category as heroin.
Yeah.
Pure nicotine.
So is food though too, right?
Yeah.
Food
Sugar.
addictions or
Oh,
what is it?
sugar. Have you heard?
Sugar, yeah.
Have you read any research? We're totally off of BJJ, but it's fine. Have you heard any? Has there been any studies on vaping? Because I can't find anything
I've just heard
online.
rumors. I don't know. I haven't heard
Okay, so there
anything.
hasn't been any then. Because everything that I've searched online, that there hasn't been any research on vaping and the effect that the smoke has on you compared to
So
smoking or
there's still nicotine, I think, in the majority of
right.
Of the vapes.
vaping liquids that they use.
Well, I think it's an option
Yeah, right. You can
can
get
choose
nicotine
it.
free.
to wean yourself off. Kind of think there's different levels and stuff. That
Mhm.
I know for sure, and I know there's some that have no nicotine also.
However,
Yeah.
there have been some cases where children have drank the liquid that goes
Oh,
into the
for
vape,
fuck's
and
sake.
they've had nicotine toxicity. Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah, and there's all these alternatives out there like K2 for marijuana. You ever hear of a product called K2? It's a synthetic marijuana.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I did hear. I was just going to say that synthetic. I think, isn't it?
Yeah. Most of the time it's innocuous, but I had a kid go into renal failure. We think it's because of that. Now Kraton, right? Kraton
Yeah,
is
Kraton. But I don't think everything is in yet on that. Kraton is there's a lot of benefits to I think for rehabilitation, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Is that what it is?
It is, and you're right because most of the things I was hearing initially is that this is bad stuff, and it's probably bad stuff because people are misusing it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But I just saw a study that came out that said that it actually was beneficial in
Sure.
getting people off of heavier stuff.
And if it's one specific, I don't know if it's heroin or if it's something. I
Yeah,
don't
it's,
think
it's
heroin.
narcotics.
It's
Yes.
not- yeah.
Well, heroin is a narcotic, an opiate, right?
Right.
So,
It's oxycodone.
right.
based.
Heroin, oxycodone, fentanyl,
Yeah.
morphine, all that stuff.
Mm.
Interesting.
It is, man. Creighton, yeah, I heard a lot about it.
Mhm.
Especially on another podcast that's out there with some Irish Italian guy. I don't know. Some guy thinks he's
The reason why I asked for the vaping is because one of my closest friend, he stopped smoking cigarettes but started vaping, and he thinks it's better for him that he's
Well-
vaping than smoking cigarettes.
In terms of what he's sucking into his lungs, it is better.
Oh.
Yeah, it is. You don't have all the carcinogens. It's not that there aren't,
Mhm.
but you don't have all the carcinogens of a burning tobacco leaf.
It's interesting. Okay.
What do you think about? So you said we were talking about cigars. Can we jump to nicotine? From what I understand, cigars don't have nicotine in them.
Sure, they do. Of course
They do?
Yeah, 100%.
Really?
It's tobacco. It's a tobacco leaf. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not just nicotine. Is not.
It's not an additive,
No, you can add more.
which they probably do in cigarettes, right?
Yeah.
I thought nicotine was added to cigarettes.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe I'm
I
wrong.
really don't know. Maybe I
We should Google.
But I heard back when I first started researching cigars and stuff. But again, it's the internet. I don't remember the source, and it could have been bullshit. But I heard that it doesn't have nicotine in it,
Okay.
and you know the good cigars anyway are organically grown. There's no. That's why you have cigars sometimes that have a tobacco beetle in them. The high-end cigars,
Uh-huh.
like the most expensive ones,
Okay.
you can get a tobacco beetle in it, and if you have that in your humidor, and the temperature rises above 75 degrees in the humidor and higher than 75% humidity, what it is, it's a tobacco beetle egg that is inside, and if it'll hatch in that optimum environment,
Uh-huh.
and then it'll burrow through the cigars and ruin your whole batch, destroy everything.
Really?
Yeah, and to identify them, we're going way off topic here, but to identify them on a cigar, if you see perfect little pinholes on a cigar,
Mhm.
that is a sign of a tobacco beetle, and it's probably infected. And the only way to be able to get rid of it is you have to take them, put them in a deep freeze for like 2 weeks, and it kills all the beetle and the eggs, and then they're okay to smoke afterwards.
How often do you smoke cigars, Brian?
In the summertime, I would say probably 2 or 3 times a week,
Okay.
and then in the winter I stop basically altogether.
Yeah, because there's snow everywhere.
That's right.
You
I go in the
stop?
garage. Yeah, I completely stop.
Oh, that's the best time to smoke a cigar. Is walking outside
In the winter?
snow. Yeah, oh
No.
God, yeah.
Yeah, but if it's -40, are you crazy?
Well, no, I mean,
I can't do that. So and it saves money too, right? Because it's expensive. I mean,
Yeah.
decent cigars are.
Now here's something weird about smoking cigars is, so I was allergic to tomatoes. I want to say was badly, where I ended up in the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah, when I was young. So I stopped eating tomatoes completely. And I started getting older and I had some, what's that stuff that you eat with nachos that has tomatoes in it?
Salsa.
It's not salsa. Guacamole.
That doesn't have tomatoes in it.
So,
I mean,
Yeah,
it could.
that's-
It
no,
could.
yeah,
It
yeah,
could
yeah,
have tomatoes. You're
typical.
right.
yeah, so I
I don't
had,
put tomatoes in my guacamole.
yeah, so I had guacamole with tomatoes
You
in
don't put
it.
tomatoes in your guacamole?
No? It's weird, eh?
My guacamole is very simple.
Yeah, so I had guacamole with tomatoes in it, and I ended up in a hospital because there were tomatoes in it.
Yeah.
And the doctor or the physician at the time told me that I should avoid cigars,
Was he a dermatologist?
possibly, because he told me I should avoid cigars because for some odd reason there's some type of something in tomatoes
Oh.
that found itself in cigars.
Okay. I have something for that maybe.
Yeah?
There is a certain cigar that I like. It is a Partagas D4. If anybody's interested.
Mhm.
Best cigar in the world.
No one's interested.
No one cares.
People want to know how to do an armbar. They
Yes.
don't want to.
But this cigar, again, this is somebody else that told me this information. So is it true or not? I don't know. It sounds like it makes sense, and it's fun to believe. So I believe it.
Okay.
Mhm.
So,
The cigar, the tobacco plant for this particular cigar is grown in an area where they alternate row of tobacco plants, row of chili pepper plants, row of tobacco plants, row of chili pepper plants. So apparently, the chili peppers, because they're roots and they share resources and stuff like that, whatever, that it gives a peppery kind of taste to the cigar, which it does have. But it could just be a bullshit story, something made up because the cigar has pepper notes in it.
okay. So tobacco does have nicotine.
You just looked it up.
I just looked it up, and I knew this, but see, people like this is the thing about being a doctor. Like people come up and they say these things that you just take for granted. Of course, of course,
Yeah, sure.
of course,
So it does.
it does.
What's the resource? What's the website you saw on?
I looked at. I think I looked at the. And the NCBI, the National Health Institute,
Okay.
and NHI.
So what does it say specifically about it? It just says
Yeah, it has, but they do add. They do.
so
add
cigarettes do add nicotine.
Yeah.
But tobacco, cigar tobacco,
Tobacco's
has
tobacco.
no, it's not. It's not the same.
The tobacco leaf has nicotine.
The tobacco leaf for cigarettes is not the same tobacco leaf from the cigars.
Okay, you can make me look this up.
No, we'll look it up. We'll get back to everybody.
This is the kind of thing that goes, am I even a doctor? I'm telling you. It is. Stop with your craziness. God, I've had too much port.
But then, yeah, I believe you because I mean, I always say I don't inhale, so it's better. But you're breathing the air around you, so you're still breathing in your lungs.
Get
to a
lip
certain-
cancer, tongue
Lip
cancer.
cancer. My father had a little bit of
Uh-huh.
shit on his lip at one point. He had to have it removed.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Or pharyngeal cancer. Yeah.
it's fine now, but and they say, hey, the doctor told him,
It's a nasty habit.
what do you? He said, smoke cigars. If you're not going to stop, smoke the cigars with the wooden tips or whatever, the plastic tips.
Like the Tiparillos.
I don't know, fucking
Those are the
lady
coolest
cigars
things
that
ever.
are Colts or whatever.
I have a cigar maybe once every 4 months, so again, I'm saying I think I'm good, but I guess you never know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I wanted to ask you, how old are you now, Charles?
54.
54.
Yep.
Do you do any type of supplementation? Nothing?
Nothing.
So for everybody who has never met Charles, he's really fit. He's jacked, strong,
Mm-hmm.
fucking demon on the mat,
So it's genetics?
and
So
hard work. I'm
When I
sure.
was there was never a day that went by since I was about 10 years old that I didn't work out. My dad, I don't know, he was like a master of manipulation. He had me doing, I think since I was about 12 years old, doing anywhere between 500 and 1,000 push-ups a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's it or not, but
Well, I'm sure it's part of it.
yeah, I don't know. I just took it seriously.
Cool. So you don't take any supplements, any like vitamins, nothing like that.
Nope. Occasional one a day or something like that. But
Shit, though.
yeah, I know. Yeah, it is. It is.
Hmm.
No offense to the
No,
one.
I truly don't. But there's a big industry, and guys our age, who were doing, getting their testosterone levels.
Yeah.
I
was just talking about
I
that.
don't want my prostate to explode, so I'm just not doing that.
So yeah, let's
And
talk
my hair's all
about
gone anyway. So
what do you know? You're a
Yeah.
doctor, so I'm not going to assume that you know a lot about everything, but you are a emergency physician. So
Right.
what do you? What
I
can
can
you tell
tell you
us?
how to reach the prostate.
No, that's okay.
It's easy.
Hitting
It's
the bum.
easy, but pleasant.
No.
No, the reason why we were saying this is so Brian and I have been having extensive conversations about testosterone, and I went to get my testosterone checked. So I had the blood test done. I went to a walk-in clinic and just had a general physician. I convinced him basically to give me a test because he wanted to know why. So I told him that my mood was a little off, that I don't feel depressed, but it's just things have been a little off than normal, and that because I'm an athlete, I just wanted to see where I was kind of at. So we did the test, and my test came back that I was like a 6.0, which was like kind of like mid-level, I would say, testosterone.
Within the normal range.
Which it would, yeah,
Okay,
exactly,
for your age.
for my age, which is 39. And then when I went back to see him, we spoke about taking testosterone to be able to get my levels back to where they were, or what the option was to, I'm going to be 40, so maybe to have my testosterone levels where I was at when I was 30 or whatnot. And he was very not for it. It was, thanks for coming, you did your test, you live the way that you are. He prescribed me some antidepressants, which I had the paper for.
Much better.
And I had the name at home, and my wife researched it, and they're very, serious. It's pretty intense what he prescribed me, and I never heard of them before. It's not something very common. I'd have to find the name again. But
Like Effexor or something like
man, I don't know. It started with an A, but it was a little
that.
off.
Like Abilify.
That sounds yeah.
So there's a lot to unpack in what you just said. So the first is the question. I mean, the root question is about testosterone, right? And I'm not an expert about it, but my personal concern is that if we live long enough, we're going to get prostate cancer, all of us.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're all going to get it, right? So, I would prefer not to potentially accelerate that through like exogenous testosterone. I don't want to take extra testosterone. I'll just try and eat healthy and exercise as much as I can, and sort of generate as much testosterone as I can. But unless there's a real change in the quality of my life, I don't think I would consider that.
What are some of the
but
reasons?
I'm not an expert. I'm not.
So what are some of the reasons that you know of why you wouldn't do it personally, or you wouldn't recommend?
I
somebody?
don't want to accelerate any prostate cancer.
So but is it 100% that?
Nope. No, I was just saying
Okay.
I'm not an expert,
Okay.
but that's my semi-educated
Okay.
view on it.
I heard that too, though. I did hear that
Right.
in some cases that it accelerated prostate cancer.
Yeah, like a lot of women won't take hormonal supplements when they are postmenopausal because they don't want to increase the rate of cancers, uterine cancer.
And the reason why I brought that up is good. We spoke a little bit in a previous podcast about jiu-jitsu athletes and being at the highest level, and that most high-level jiu-jitsu athletes are taking something to give them an edge, and most of the time, they're not being tested. So we had a big conversation about that. So that's where I was like, oh, well, I'll go test out my testosterone and see, what's going on and this and that. And that's how it started, basically from a talk of jiu-jitsu and high-level athletes taking things to kind of give them that edge. And yeah.
And I wonder if, again, I'm not asking you directly because maybe you don't know, but I wonder if the amount has something to do with it too. Because I mean, there's some guys that their doctors will put them on, TRT, and it's like a small dose to kind of slowly increase their testosterone, not at an insane level, just something, And then I guess they're probably doing it in cycles also, where they'll do it a while and then stop and then do it again and stop. And do you think that would be safer?
Right. So I do think it would be. I mean, just logically, I believe that your risk of badness happening is in relation to the amount of testosterone you're getting.
Right.
So if you're getting smaller doses, I think your risk is probably less.
Yeah.
The increase in your risk is probably.
I guess because you're
less.
introducing it to your body slowly.
Yeah.
And,
But the other thing you said about doling out antidepressants,
Mhm.
it's
It's fucking crazy, man.
a little bit, yeah.
Oh my god.
They're
Antidepressants and painkillers.
everywhere.
And I have to say that he didn't give me a prescription. So my first meeting was, okay, well, here's the test to go test out your testosterone. But here's a name of an antidepressant, and I want you to do some research on it.
Excellent.
And when you come back to see me, we'll have a conversation about it.
That is 100% responsible.
Yeah.
That's great.
Which is what we had, and I decided that I wasn't depressed. Well, this is me saying I'm not depressed.
Sure.
And that I wasn't ready to take that step. But yeah. I think he went about it in the best way.
So we were talking about that actually today after practice, antidepressants and in general, how they can be used optimally. And so what happens is that depressed people sort of get into a pattern of thinking and a pattern of behavior. And what you want to do is you want to be able to change that. So I think the way that most people who prescribe those medications are looking to use them optimally is that we're going to provide this as a bridge for you. You're going to have some extra serotonin, which is the feel-good chemical in your brain. And what we want you to do that doesn't end there. What we want is to promote you to start adopting those healthy behaviors so that you can make good choices. And you start digging a furrow in your brain that this is the way that you're going to make choices in your life. And then as a result, you have positive consequences from that, and you no longer need the antidepressant.
Yeah,
It's not just to give you more serotonin forever. It's to act as a bridge so that you can start. It's easier for you to fake it until you make it, right?
Okay.
Start doing the behaviors even though you don't want to do them.
Yeah. And anytime
and
you're
that-
reconditioning yourself.
You're reconditioning.
Yeah.
You're digging those furrows in your brain where that's the path. Right? So
Damn your dog, Brian.
Jinx agrees. Jinx agrees. Jinx approved.
Yeah.
He's so cute. Oh, there he goes again.
We'll go back to a little bit of jiu-jitsu. Have you competed a lot in your?
I used to compete a lot, and and I haven't competed in a while. Probably because I've just been so busy with work that I feel like I would go in there at not competition level.
What belt would you say you competed the most at?
I think blue and purple.
Mm-hmm.
But I find competition vitally important, and it's hugely challenging for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my nerves are off the charts. And I try and get a reality base. Like, look, you have a job where people's lives are on the line. Like, you're
Yeah.
making decisions. Like, this is nothing. This is, whether you win or lose, this is nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't help. Yeah, it doesn't help. It doesn't help. And I think I'm just a wuss about it. But I do try and force myself into it. I wanted to go to the Masters with Mark this year, but I'm going to practice maybe twice a week, and I'll as a black belt, I won't represent very well. It won't be a competition for me. I'm not going to be there in competition mode. I'm just going to go there to prove that I can go there.
If you
I'd
did
really
go,
like to go.
if you did go to Masters, would you wear a BTT or a GBD? I'm just kidding. I'm just playing around.
No, I
That was
know.
rough.
I thought about that. My current school is Gracie Baja, and
Yeah.
I think Fred would respect that. I think,
Oh, for sure.
so.
Yeah, I think when you compete at that level, you really have to make sure that you put your prep in.
But I tell you what I thought about. I thought about meeting Mark in a competition.
Imagine.
I wouldn't roll one.
No?
Nope. I would
You,
forfeit.
you shake hands, you tap.
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors.
No, I would.
Yeah.
I respect Mark, and we're partners. I would not do that.
That's interesting. You see a lot of teammates doing that, from the same school, obviously, until they reach the finals. And I think people get that golden ticket in the finals, that even if you face your teammate in the finals, whatever happens, happens, and you still compete against them. But
And I don't know. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's how I feel about it. That's what I imagined in my mind.
Yeah.
Although I think he's a weight class lighter than I am.
Yeah. I've never competed at that level where you're, on the world scale, where you're going all the way to Vegas and you're competing with people everywhere. But it's a little different on a smaller scale. But I'm curious what it would be like. Obviously, you're different calibers. From here in Montreal, we'll compete in Plattsburgh, and we'll go to Boston, and we'll go to Toronto. But at Worlds, you're really meeting the top of the top,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I was at the Pan Am's. I think as a Brown. Fred was there with me, and I think
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
That wasn't long ago, right? That was a couple years ago.
yeah, Brown. I can't remember. Brown or purple. I gotta say.
I'm pretty sure it was Brown. I remember when you guys went.
But that's it doesn't come naturally.
No,
No, not at all.
you're saying before that you don't think you would represent very well. Don't you think you're a little hard on yourself?
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'd do better than I think. But
think you would,
I
and-
think I would like to feel a big part of not feeling overly anxious about the whole thing is feeling that you have prepared properly. I've done everything I could possibly do. This is the best I can be, and I'm going out there.
Okay, but
And I would not feel that way.
okay, if you take that approach and you lost, you didn't place, you didn't podium at all,
Mhm.
how would you feel then?
I would feel okay. Like I
So
tried my
see,
best.
my approach is a little different. If I did everything I could, I was like, oh my god, I've never worked so hard, I'm smashing it, whatever, and I get there and I get my ass handed to me, I would feel like shit.
You'd feel like I don't deserve this belt.
Because I worked my ass off to get it and I still didn't get it. But if I did my regular routine, whatever, and I went and I fared okay, whatever, I said, okay, then, I did what I did and you know what I mean? But I didn't put everything into it to get there, so I don't know how I feel.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm more concerned about myself, I think, more than the podium. And then it's like I'm reading Jordan Peterson's book right now,
Yes.
Again.
The 12
The 12 Steps. Yeah.
steps.
12 Habits for Life.
Yeah, I've read that book too.
So one of them is be better than the person you were yesterday, not better than someone else today, right?
Yeah.
So I'm always telling my kids that,
Yeah.
just think about how you were. And I think I originally heard that from Tony Robbins actually from years ago, where he said, constant and never-ending improvement. I think it's what his little acronym is. And he's always just be better than who you were yesterday. Because imagine if you could be 2% better than you were yesterday, and then tomorrow you can be 2% better than you were. I mean, eventually you're going to get to and then as the higher you get, the harder it is to improve. But you're constantly improving. So don't look at being better than other people. Look at being better than yourself.
Well, I think it's something I have to revisit because I'm getting older, I think it's a responsibility to compete. Like I said, it's a real challenge for me, and I have to rethink that. So I'll consider what you have to say.
Yeah.
That's been my take thus far.
Yeah, but then I think about they say the whole argument between sport jiu-jitsu and what do they call it, self-defense jiu-jitsu, I guess, or whatever. What are your so I think that's I don't know what it is for me. I don't know if I like the self-defense aspect. I think that's really important for me.
Yeah, but to do that day in and day out, I think I don't know how sustainable that
All right, that's good to know. All right, man. Well, thanks very much for your time, Josh. And like I said, everyone can go check him out on social media. And I appreciate your time, buddy.
All right, brother. Y'all have an amazing night. It was good talking to you guys.
Great talking to you too, buddy.